Welcome to Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast.
Well, excuse me. Welcome into Just an Average Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Hayes, with Matt Baker.
That's me.
You can find us at afgffpod.com. You can also find us by searching for us just about anywhere you can get a podcast. Apple, Spotify, Podbeam. Hell, I don't know. There's others. You can Google
There
us.
are others.
We're generally right in within the top 3 results on Google. Didn't even have to pay for it. So, yeah, go give us a like, follow, subscribe, pass us around, send us out, spread us like COVID. Isn't that our new saying?
That's, yeah. Not official, but official.
Spread us like a pandemic.
Officially unofficial.
I also want to say, I was listening to the podcast the other day, and I gave our little tagline that I always give at the end where it says, you know, if you finish average, you don't finish last.
Yeah.
We did our job. And I do want to say, of course, that's all tongue in cheek. We do, you know, obviously want to help you win your leagues, help us win our leagues. We are striving to win our leagues, but you know, we're just the whole idea behind Just an Average, you know, fantasy football podcast is that we're not like mathematicians. We're not like numbers geeks. We're just 2 blue collar guys, 3 when Terrell's here, who decide to sit around and talk about fantasy football. We do put in work. We do hopefully know a little bit about what we're talking about. And we are very successful in the leagues that we're in. We do generally win a few different leagues every year. And we make a lot of playoffs. So, and I'm not trying to toot our own horn. I just, you know, I don't know why I feel the need to put it out there that we're not, you know, we're not actually trying to help you finish average in your leagues. It's just a funny tongue-in-cheek type thing to do. And the whole just average type branding is really what we're about. You know, we're not anything super special, but we do want to be successful, and we do want everybody to win their leagues. So, you know, take that for what it's worth. So.
Yes, unless you're in the league with us, and then we don't want you to win.
Yes.
And
yes.
we
but I will say this. If I'm not going to win, I do want somebody who's listens to me on a podcast to win.
Yeah, that's true. I guess that would. There are silver linings, but at this point in the season, I don't care about silver linings.
No.
But yeah, no, I get. Yeah, it's fun and it's average information. It's stuff.
Yeah.
You know, what we see.
And we do put in the work. We do sit here and crunch numbers, and we try to come up with our own sort of statistics, and we do try to. But a lot of what we do is also on the fly. Because, you know, we have a broad outline of what we want to talk about, but inevitably, because neither one of us have a single track mind during the podcast, we may go down paths that we did not prepare to answer questions about, and we got to figure the stuff out on the fly.
Yes.
And then we start doing things like, I don't know, who's it you were comparing less? You were comparing to, oh God, what was it? Oh God, what's his name that was now in the Falcons? Darnell Mooney.
Yep, Darnell Mooney.
You were comparing him and another wide receiver who's hasn't even sniffed Mooney's. It was Rondale Moore. And so we end up in places where we're putting Rondale Moore on the same level as Darnell Mooney, you know, but a lot of that's on the fly. But
that kind of shows the average too, where it's like you get this weird view of some players when they do good for you or something.
Sure.
And you kind of remember the better of the better over the worst of the worst.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And I think that's where
if you have a guy that carries you for like 2 weeks, like who was it last season? I remember Ty Chandler. In my mind, I felt like Ty Chandler had like 6 games in a row where he was just
monster. Yeah,
it was like 2 games out of 7 at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
And they weren't in a row.
And they were and they weren't amazingly great. They were just really good games for Ty Chandler.
But in my mind, I was coming into this season, man, Ty Chandler, why'd they go out and get Aaron Jones? Ty Chandler dominated at the end of the season, and he didn't dominate. I mean, he was all right.
He did all right.
And so, yeah, sometimes when people do, in a moment where you really need somebody to step up for you in a tight game, all of a sudden sudden you're like this. You start to elevate this guy in your mind's eye.
You see them so much bigger than they are, and then when you go look at stats, because you're like, I'm telling you, and then you look at stats, you're like, okay, let's not listen to me anymore. We're gonna back this up a little bit.
Yeah. But and a couple of things I wanted to throw out there. I try to throw this out every few episodes, especially if we happen to be picking up new listeners. So the music that you hear at the beginning and end of the podcast, those are both from a good friend of mine, Bent Royce. You can find him on Apple and Spotify as well. He's got a ton of music out there. It's really good. And he was gracious enough to let us use a couple of his songs for our intro and outro. Free of charge, mind you. And then the voice you hear at the beginning that announces us, that is our friend Jack. He has a very soothing, sultry voice. And so we're able to use him to do that. If I could bring him in here to just do all of our announcement, like buttons, sounders about stuff, then I would. But he has a busy life. I can't just bring him in here and have him sit here for a few hours while we constantly record stuff. So I get him when I can, and it's for the big stuff like the intro.
Yes.
So, but shout out to them for helping us create this every week in their own ways. So, but again, go check out Bent Royce on Apple, Spotify, all those good places.
Everywhere.
So, all right. Well, from there, let's roll into some news.
Allegedly.
Oh, that's not the right button. No, we are actually going to roll into some news.
That's
Oh, son of a! I gotta turn that volume down.
You are killing my eardrums.
There it is. Sorry about that, everybody. Hopefully, in post it'll bring that down. But right now, my ears are bleeding inside the headset.
Same.
And we're back to being average. All right. A couple of news items. Let's see. Big ones. Jaden Daniels and Gardner Minshew. I should say big news. Gardner Minshew named starter. We pretty much predicted Jaden Daniels was going to be starter.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we knew it. There were still people out there who were like, maybe it's Aiden O'Connell. And I'm like, what in the hell have you ever seen from Aiden O'Connell make you think he could outplay Minshew?
Yeah, now I'm not going to say that Minshew's not going to throw 3 or 4 interceptions by week 4 and they try Aiden O'Connell and let him throw 3 or 4 interceptions. But
I know that they play Cleveland in week 4, and then they play the Bengals, I think, somewhere in those first 4, and there's another tough defense. There's 2 really tough defenses. I remember. I know Cleveland's week 4.
Yeah.
Because I heard another podcast talking about this, and they brought up the first 4 games out of the block, and they said, based off of this, by week 4, we couldn't be seeing Aiden O'Connell.
I was just guessing, but I don't even remember what the schedule was. That's what I'm going to look now to see who the first 4 games are.
So the Chargers are week 1. So we're not. Their defense was trash last year, but
then
Harbaugh is he's a good defensive coach. And then that's what it is. Ravens, and then somebody else.
The Panthers.
That's right.
The Browns. Yeah.
So the Panthers could be good. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then we know the Browns and the Ravens are generally good.
Yeah, exactly. So
I wouldn't be counting on Minshew in any leagues those first 4 weeks to do much for you. But I think overall, if he stays a starter, it's better for the receivers.
Yeah, than Aiden O'Connell, because I don't know. I didn't see a lot out of him last year that I liked. I mean, so
it was look. One thing is, in the fantasy world, we want someone who's going to throw the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Minshew's not scared to sling it. Aiden O'Connell, I don't know if he's scared to throw it, but they limited him. I don't know they're going to limit Minshew as much, and so he's the poor guy's. I don't know, Brett Favre from back in the day.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing Minshew's starting for like Trey Tucker, the rookie last year. It's probably better for him because I think Aiden O'Connell kind of struggled getting the ball that downfield, that far downfield.
Well, and I think it's good.
He's quick on quick, so
I think it's good. Like I know Devontae Adams wanted, what are they calling him, AOC, Aiden O'Connell.
Yeah.
And so for whatever reason, I don't know, but I think it's also better for Jacoby Myers than is Minshew. I think it's better for all receiving options.
All receiving, yeah.
And obviously, Brock Bowers being there. So, let's see. Christian Kirk is not practicing this week. He's dealing with a calf. So, want to monitor that. Jalen Warren is out multiple weeks. They said there's still a chance that Warren is back by week 1, but I wouldn't count on it. And I think it's a leg. I didn't write it down.
Yeah, I remember it coming across the wire while we were doing our draft.
Yeah, right after he was taken.
After he got taken, yeah, exactly. I was like, what are the odds of that, huh?
See, Herbert's back at practice. He was dealing with a foot issue. MVS is going to be out. I don't know if that really matters as far as fantasy goes, but he hurt his neck. The Biscuit's going to be out with a knee issue. Curtis Samuel is day-to-day with turf toe. Stafford was back at practice today, so that was good to see. So I think that's all the biggest
hamstring.
Hammy? Okay.
For Warren, yeah.
So before we roll on into the next things we're going to do, I did want to ask you, how did you feel? We had our home league draft. It's a 14-team, full PPR, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 2 flex, single quarterback league. And I was going to ask you how you felt about your team. I know I gave you some hell about your drafting strategy, but overall, I mean, how are you feeling about it?
I mean, I'm not mad about it at all. I mean, there's a few, I'm just going to call them hiccups throughout the evening that kind of were unpredictable, I guess.
You talking about hiccups as far as other players being drafted that you didn't expect?
Yeah, well, people that I'm not going to say counting on, but people that I was looking for later in some aspect and all that kind of got taken a little earlier than I thought they would have, given that I knew the company I was in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I missed out on a couple people, but I mean, overall, I'm not super mad about it. I mean, it even looks great on paper. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think it turned out pretty well.
You're weak at running back. What was the first? How far did you go before you took a running back? I think it was like 7th round.
It might have been the 7th. It might have even been the 8th, honestly.
I think it was Chase Brown your first running back.
He was my first running back, yes.
So you took Chase Brown. Yes, 709 was the first running back.
First running back
you.
I took.
Yeah, you ended up with Chase Brown, Blake Corum are your 2 starting running backs. As we sit here today, you also got Trey Benson, Kamani Vidal, and Tyron Tracy. Obviously, you had to take a bunch of dart throws because you did basically go that hardcore 0 RB, but you did get Amon-Ra, you got Chris Olave, you got Sam Laporta, and you got Trey McBride. That was where I was like, what are we doing right now? You don't have a running back and you're taking another tight end.
I was more in that pick. The pick was kind of tough, but with the 14-man league in the 9th spot, it's kind of disarray, but I'm like, I can play my flex spot. And I was going on talent. I was going on production.
Yeah.
And Trey McBride was the best that I felt at that point available.
I mean, it may work out in a full PPR.
Outside of taking a shot at a running back that early that could have not worked out. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt safer there because worst case scenario, he plays my flex and I'll, figure something out, or he'll end up being trade bait and I'll get a good running back out of it and, maybe something a little extra later down. But I just felt like it was the safest play or the smartest play on, points wise.
Because you took, let's look at it. And this isn't me like roasting you. I find it interesting. We just did a draft, so I just want to kind of get the idea of. So you took Trey McBride at the 5'9". Right after that was DeAndre Swift. I know you don't like Swift. I know you don't like Ramondre, Tony Pollard. So it was Nick Chubb, which my mom took Nick Chubb. She didn't know that he was going to be out.
I couldn't risk risk that, and then
Zamir White was the next running back after that. So I get what you're saying. You were looking at McBride and you were looking at Swift or Swift because right before McBride, let me ask you this: so you had James Conner, Alvin Kamara. Those were literally the 2 picks.
Those would have been. Those were the 2 that I would have taken. That would have been my first RB. I wanted Kamara to be my first RB, and I thought he would make it back to me at that point, but he went a pick earlier. So at that point, I'm like, well, shit, I got to reevaluate.
Yeah,
let me look at who I feel. That was a hiccup.
I got you.
Yeah, let me see how I feel with who else is available just in general at all position.
Right.
And I just felt like plug or play, if I don't have running backs, this guy's at least going to get me decent points in my flex spot without having to stress. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and I took that on it's almost like a safety blanket kind of thing, sit right. It was the best pick I felt at that point in time,
Yeah.
And then, of course, come back around, and I'm like, well, if I don't grab a quarterback here, because some people were already going that shouldn't have gone yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to get somebody I'm comfortable with here. I'll just play – I guess I'll play the waiver on running back this year and see what happens. I mean,
you definitely. I didn't mention when I was talking about your team a second ago. You also got Devonta Smith in your other flex, so you've got three really solid wide receivers in Monroe, Chris Olave, and Devontae Smith.
That I don't feel I would have to worry too much about.
And even so, you got two really solid tight ends that we're projecting to be in the top. So those are both really solid trade bait. If you look late, if you get a couple weeks in and somebody's clamoring for a wide receiver or a tight end, maybe you move one of them and then not really hurt your team to get you another running back or a starter. So the biggest thing is for me is like you have to what you got to be banking on right now is you need Chase Brown to be the guy.
Yep.
And as long as he's the guy, because we already feel like the other guys aren't going to be the guy. So you just need to get some work out of Corum and Trey Benson. But you need at least Chase Brown to be the guy.
And I've got others that are like near, like knocking on the door dart throws, like people that like behind James Conner. I got Trey Benson.
Right.
He can easily not take the job, but
right.
If
And you
Conner
got Tracy
goes down,
who might just take the job outright.
Tyrone Tracy and even Bedell. You know, we know JK's kind of glass, and Gus is getting a little older. So I mean,
don't you talk about Gus because I got him on my team.
I'm just saying,
No,
you
I know
know,
what you're saying.
I the people I picked because I felt like they had the best shot at becoming a guy that could, you know, be part of the offense. You know, with it in a shorter period of time, you know, like it could end up being week 5 or 6. And some of these guys might be starting. So that was where it is. It just, you played it by ear. We'll see what happens. I mean, there's still, it's still another week of preseason. You know, still a little bit to go on too. You know,
generally we don't do our draft this early. I would have liked to have waited at least one more week, but we got a lot of things coming up, and it was like this was the only really available week we had to get together. Yeah. So I feel pretty solid about mine. I was able to. I had the number 3 pick. I did reach for Bijan. The first 2 picks were CMC and CeeDee Lamb, and I was like, you know what, I want Bijan, and so I said, screw it. I went after Bijan, and then I called
it too. You said if he was going to be there, you were going to take him.
Yeah, the only ones that I would have taken over Bijan were both taken before him. I thought if CeeDee would have been there, my mom had the number 2 pick. She was thinking about Chase because she really likes Burrow and the Bengals. So she was really talking about Chase, but then she switched up and went CD. So I was like, all right, well, that nails it for me. I'm taking Bijan, and then I got Kyron Williams on the second round, and then I got DK. I got Dalton Kincaid, I got Pickens, I got Addison, I got Edwards. So I feel pretty good about it. On my bench, I got Demario Douglas, Dontavian Wicks, and then, I did kind of what you did with these running backs. I went and got Bucky Irvin and Jalen Wright because if somebody goes down, then both of those guys are going to be pretty. Yeah. And Bucky Irvin could take the job outright. So we talked about that last podcast. So yeah. But yeah, so our home league, our main, most important number 1 league to us, drafted this week. So yeah, starting to feel real. That in preseason, I haven't watched, other than the highlights, I have not watched any preseason football.
Oh, really?
It's so weird. I wait for it all year, but I can't stand preseason football.
I don't mind it so much. I mean, it does. You can tell that they're softer out there. As
nobody wants to get hurt.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can tell that there's a lot of holding back, especially on the defensive side. And even on the offensive side, like they're not really like forcing themselves to go get the balls and stuff like that. But I mean, you can still see good route running. You can see good vision. You can see some of these people that they're released, like, a couple of the rookie quarterbacks, watching them and seeing their timing. And, you still get that kind of feel for it. But you don't see it really unveil properly, especially when most of these guys out here, on either side of the ball, are all like second, third stringers. They're not any of the big guys.
They're kind of playing, some of them are playing for roster spots. Some of them are playing to get something on tape for the next team that they're going to get. So, but let's see we're in the thick of it. Season's right around the regular season's right around the corner. It's the weekend after Labor Day, or is it Labor Day weekend? It's got to be the week because there's a bye. Yeah, so this is the final preseason. Then you have the bye week, which will be Labor Day weekend. It'll be the following Thursday. So 2 weeks from this coming Thursday will be the first game of the season.
That sounds about right.
All right. Well, let's roll from there. We're going to talk about some Super Bowl predictions that we got. Let's see. All right.
Yeah, that was an interesting transition sound, especially for this kind of.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'll go ahead and tell you who I have in the Super Bowl, and then you can tell me who you have in the Super Bowl, and then we can tell who we have winning the Super Bowl. So my Super Bowl prediction, I went through, and I've got the Ravens at the 49ers. I know that it is the Chiefs division. I know they've gone back-to-back, and I know they did improve, but so have the Ravens, and I think that This is the second year for them to be with this Todd Monken offense, for Lamar to be in this offense. They went, and this will be Zay Flowers' second year. Mark Andrews was out most of the year last year with an injury, so he is back. He's healthy. They have made some improvements on defense. They've obviously made some improvements on their O-line. And they went out and got Derrick Henry. So I just think that this team is poised. The Ravens are, that they're about to make a run, and we could be looking at a Ravens 40. And then on the other side is the 49ers. The 49ers are just a machine, and they're great. They have talent on all levels of offense and defense. And I just think that it's their year to break through and finally do it, to get to the Super Bowl. So I got the Ravens at the 49ers as my Super Bowl prediction. Who do you got and why?
I have the Bills making it all the way this year to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Mainly because it seems like every year past for the last 3 years, they've done nothing but improve, and then just fall apart at the end of the season. They haven't done anything in my eyes that's really made their team better. So I think it's just going to be like a Cinderella story. Shit's going to turn around, and they're going to come.
You're going with the opposite approach.
I'm going straight up. I think it's Bill's turn. It's been a minute. Everybody keeps calling it and saying it every year. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. They're going to do it. Yeah. This is the first time I feel like they might actually do it. Not because I don't really have any like actual hardcore evidence, because their team is a bit disarray, I will say.
Well, the wide receiver room there's nothing but question marks.
There's lots of question marks in the wide receiver room. I mean, and even in the running back side, I mean, yeah, James Cook did pretty good and everything, but there's a lot of talk about Ray Davis coming out of preseason right now that he's a guy. He's going to. And then you got the defense falling apart. I mean, Matt Milano is hurt, injured again.
I think he's out with a torn bicep or pectoral or something.
The whole rest of the season. They lost another one.
So it's
kind of like
so your philosophy is every year they come out and they improve their team and they don't make it to the Super Bowl. And this year when they're in shambles, it seems like
they're just going to walk away. They're going to walk away with it. That's it.
All right.
And then in a similar but opposite, I got the Lions. I think it's going to be a blue Super Bowl. I mean, I think the Lions are gonna.
Okay.
They're gonna.
I almost went with the Lions. My heart wants the Lions,
and that's probably part of it too for me. Is not that I'm a Lions fan, but there's so much talent there. They're like the
I'm a
49ers.
Dan Campbell fan.
They're very
not
similar.
Dan Campbell. Oh my god. Who are the? You can keep talking. I'll look at it.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry.
I know what you're trying to say, but yeah, I feel like they're. As talented as the 49ers are, I think the Lions are similarly talented.
Oh, it is Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Who's the coach of – I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep sidetracking. I got him confused in my mind with the coach of Washington. Dan – what's his name? Used to be the Falcons coach. I want to say it's not Dan Campbell. But
you got me all sidetracked.
I know. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Rewind.
But yeah, the Lions are like collectively uber super talented. I think the only thing that would really hold them back from going all the way this time is injury. You know, I mean, there's already the question mark on Gibbs right now with his hamstring, and you know, there's. I think Laporta's got something going on with his leg. You know, there's things there that you know couldn't hold it back as far as injury is concerned, but. This team as a collective, even they've improved.
Gibbs is dealing with an issue. Did you bring that up?
Yeah, that's what I said. Okay. Gibbs has got the hamstring thing.
I should have probably brought him up in news. I completely.
But I just I feel like they're very similar to the 49ers collectively as far as talent is concerned.
Yeah, they got a ton of talent on all levels.
And their defense is easily stepping up like every year. It's like Hutchinson, I think that's the rookie they had last year. He is everywhere. I mean, we're talking about him. Aiden Hutchinson, yeah. He's in this tier like we saw with Micah Parsons and you know with some of these other defensive. They're just everywhere, you know. And I just
he was his rookie year last year or the year before?
Last year, I believe.
Yes. So he was dominant. Last year, he's only going to get better.
Well, they were talking like his metrics per game were increasing all the way through the year. So I mean, you're looking at a guy that could easily be like a Luke Kuechly, you know,
or Max Crosby,
just
because he's a Russian defensive end,
just straight like a leader on the defense. Is what I mean. Like this guy, he sees things before they happen. He's out there, you know, putting stops, being everywhere, you know. Yeah. And I just think that if all this comes together for them and nothing comes together for the Bills, they're both going to be in the Super Bowl.
Right.
So, I mean,
before we move on, Dan Quinn is the coach of the Commanders.
For the Commanders.
And when I said I love Dan Campbell,
you thought you said Dan Quinn.
My brain went, did you, wait a minute, is it Dan? Then I saw Dan Quinn and I went, no, I don't like, I mean, I don't have anything against Dan Quinn. He was a terrible head coach, but he's a great defensive coordinator, and we'll see what he does with Washington now. But I do love Dan Campbell, and we've talked a lot about him. I think he has that charisma, that thing that transcends. Like we talk about how motivational guys, which Dan Quinn tried to be with Atlanta, and it didn't work. Dan Quinn when he was here, he would bring the SEALs in to do this, one team, one blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, that's all great when you're winning, but none of that holds when the wheels start falling off.
When things are starting to fall apart.
Because it's got to be more than that. There's got to be more substance.
Yeah.
Now, Dan Campbell, on the other hand, has somehow figured out how to transcend that. Yeah. That even when the things start falling apart, these guys have all adopted an ownership, and I think it's because of the genuineness, the realness of what Dan Campbell is and what he brings to the table. When he talks about his love for that team and the love for those players, dude's almost in tears. You can tell that he means that
his
shit.
Emotion, his feelings towards everything, it speaks out when he talks. Yeah,
I can tell you that the only thing I can compare it to for me personally is bosses that I've had.
Yeah.
At companies that I've worked for. And I work for companies where people come out and say all the right things. They'll blow smoke up your ass about how we're a family and we can do all this and we can do all that. And then, as soon as you need something or you need a day off or you got a problem, and then now all of a sudden, they're flipping the script on you and you realize it's just surface deep.
Yeah.
But I've also, like the company I work for now, the boss that I work for now, I had the issue with my father where I had to go and try to sort this out, and it ended up costing me almost 2 weeks. I had to leave town out of nowhere. Yeah. And they're like, dude, you handle your business. And they paid me without me asking to go out of town to sort this stuff with my dad, and they still paid me out of pocket because when my boss told me family is what's most important, he meant that shit.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole different thing. And so, it's like I can understand it on that level that I would run through a brick wall for the owner of the company that I work for now.
Yeah.
And these guys would run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell because the love he puts into him. You look at Jameson Williams, who came out with talent, but seems to, I'm not going to say he was in trouble because, I mean, he did have the gambling issue, but it's not like he's, I don't want to paint a picture, but it seems like they've had issues with him buying in, and they've worked with him and they've got him, it seems like, to buy in, which is why we're all on board with that. And we'll see. But that's the kind of guy that is. And that's why I want to believe in what the Lions are doing. I want to believe that they can do that. And I think that if the Lions win the Super Bowl, I'm probably going to cry. Not because I'm a Lions fan, and not even because I'm a real fan of any of the players or the coach. I'm just a fan of what he stands for and what he's doing with those players.
What he did, what he built to get to this point.
And the way he built it.
And realistically, even if they make it to the Super Bowl, just imagine the short period of time that he's actually been there with what he's done in these past few years. It's just like, you turn an organization around like 180 or 360.
And he was kind of roasted when he took that job. I don't know if you remember his first press conference where he's like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, I'm going to build a team that we're going to fight, and if you knock us down, we're going to try to bite your knees. We're going to, and basically he was painting a picture of, you can take our legs, you can take our arms, and if you do all that, we're still going to try to bite you.
Yep, exactly.
And everybody roasted him. Oh, they're going to bite their knees, blah blah blah. But now that they see what's going on, that's exactly who they are. They can be down 30, and they're still going to be out there trying to punch you in the face.
Exactly. They're still out there with just nubs, still trying to win the game. Yeah, exactly.
And then the next week they're not going to implode because they got beat by 30 the week before. The next week they're going to go out there and still try to crush the next opponent.
Exactly.
But I love the Lions pick for the heart reasons. But so from there, who do you got winning your Super Bowl between the Bills and the Lions?
I hate it. I want to go with my heart here and say the Bills, but I think the Lions are going to end up beating them.
I think you're going with your heart either way. I think those are both heart picks.
Yeah, I mean, if the Lions get that far, I think it's just done. They're gonna take it. It's gonna be a game over. But like I said, I like the Bills. I mean, I'm a Bills fan, all that good stuff. But I just like talent wise, it's gonna really show when it comes to that.
Yeah.
The Lions, honestly, on paper and off paper. Josh Allen's equal to 2 or 3 of their players, but not 8 of their players. You know, like he's not going to be able to beat everybody there by himself. No. So unless something really drastic, like we get mid-season and we see these wide receivers really open up and things like their offense looks like we want it to look like, then I might be a little more on board and still stay the same. Like, you know, maybe this is going to work out better for them. But at this juncture, I'd pick the Lions to take it off.
I would pick it too. Again, well, it's a long ways away, and we don't know who all's going to be, you know, healthy. Yeah. But I like that. Well, out of my Ravens 49ers, I got the 49ers winning. Like I said, I think it's their time. A lot of times in sports, especially in football, very rarely, like you looked at the Bengals a few years ago when they first showed up on the scene and went to the Super Bowl, they didn't win it, and it wasn't their time. You know, the Panthers made it a few years ago. It wasn't their time. You know, and I think that when you put in the work on a regular basis like the 49ers have, I think it's their time. Now, on the other side of the coin, I think the Rams back in the day, the greatest show on turf, they dethroned you know, somebody their first time ever making it. But I just think that Kyle Shanahan has created this team, this offense, this scheme, and he has built it, and he has got it all together. Whether they keep Ayuk or not is going to really I'm not going to say that if Ayuk leaves that's going to change it drastically for what I think, because I think they can still scheme it. You know, they still have enough talent to overcome that. It'll just mean more work for Kittle, probably more work for McCaffrey in the passing game. But I think keeping Ayuk solidifies it for me.
Yeah.
And so we'll see how that pans out. I didn't bring it up in the news because there is no new news.
Yeah, it's nothing that's come up out of it.
Yeah, it's still between the Steelers and the 49ers of who's going to keep him. I think Ayuk wants to stay in San Francisco.
According to last thing
I think he's leveraging the Steelers to try to get the deal done here. So, but something just came across the wire. It says rumors that the Steelers offered a second in their latest deal.
Ooh.
So
yeah,
because it was like a third and a fifth or something before.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I've got the 49ers winning the Super Bowl. You have the Lions winning the Super Bowl.
Correct.
And we'll see how that pans out. So the next thing we're going to roll into is, of course, when we went through the divisions, we gave a smash, pass, or sleeper. And what we're going to do is we picked a smash from each division and then a wild card, meaning one more smash from either division. And then we picked one sleeper of all our sleepers that we're going to ride into this season. And we're going to kind of monitor throughout the season how we did and how they, you know, it's not really a competition. We're not going to raise stipulations about that, but we'll just say that
still
if we
nice to revisit it.
Yeah, we'll be able to revisit. We've got where their ADP is today. We went off today's, and it never was changed drastically from where their ADPs were when we picked them. But, you know, we got all that stuff wrote down so that we can kind of, you know, at the end of the season, we can kind of go back and look and say, hey, this was a terrible smash, or this was amazing, or this was a great sleeper, and kind of either toot our own horn or toot our horn in the other one's face.
Exactly.
And so let's roll into that. I'm mixing them now, baby. I'm like DJ
just
DJ
mixing
Dan
it all
over
in
here.
there. Yeah.
Hold on, I got a record scratch. Is it this one?
There it is. It didn't sound anything like bucka bucka bucka.
That horn is obnoxious, bro.
I think mine's like turned off.
No, here. Oh, no, it's not muted. Did you connect?
I did connect.
Let's see.
Tried twice.
I got you turned up now. Let's see. It's playing. You can see it playing across
Yeah, it's just not playing in the thing. Let me just double check I'm connected, but I'm pretty certain I'm connected. Bluetooth. Connected.
Roadcaster. Interesting. Hit it again.
Nothing.
Not a damn thing.
Nothing. This is a long one, too, so.
That's what she said. Wait a minute.
Whoa.
That's not what she said.
She didn't say it that I heard anyway.
Disconnected and reconnected. See what that does. While you're doing that, I'm going to be like.
Do it. It won't disconnect.
Yeah, just turn the Bluetooth off. There you go. Now turn it back on.
There we go. There we go.
It's trying. It was already trying. All right, you're connected again. See what it does. See what works now. Oh, hold on.
I guess it doesn't like me.
One more thing. Oh, the volume's up on the iPad, so I have no idea, to be honest with you. That's not it.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Later. Either way, damn. That was what I was trying to play. So
That's from now on. You have got to do that. So let me tell you about the Trash Panda Sino of the week.
damn.
That's not what we do for Trash Panda Sino.
I know. Oh my God, who the hell cares? Is that how it goes?
Oh God! Wait till I get you. So and so just got re-signed to the highest contract ever.
Still don't know his name.
No, well that worked too, but I was doing the money one.
Oh, okay. I thought you said so and so. So I figured, like, what's his lips like?
This thing's derailed now.
Oh man.
All right, so
Anywho, so NFC.
Yes.
Who are we looking at for
all right,
our,
so my NFC smash, overall smash, is DK Metcalf. He is the
That's to
forever
be-
smash.
That's to be given, yeah. This is
And right now,
definitely.
he's still going off as wide receiver 20, 41 overall. I think he's going to be a top. I'm just going to save my hot take
okay.
for our hot takes episode. So I'm not going to give it all the way, but I do believe DK is going to be a wide receiver 1.
Ooh, okay.
And I think this will be his best year. And so my that's DK. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise. Well, another surprise. If if the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, it's going to be on the back of Jameson Williams.
Yeah.
That's my smash. For
That's
the
your
NFC.
smash, not
Yeah.
your sleeper?
No, not my sleeper.
Oh,
That's
wow.
my smash. That's somebody I'm where I can get him.
Yeah.
You get nothing but
What's
value.
his ADP
smashing on
currently?
them. 48 wide receiver, 48, 115 overall.
Yeah. I mean, he
there's-
could have been a sleeper or a smash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, he could easily. I'm not going to say he's going to. He could easily be a wide receiver 2, like a 24.
Yeah.
Or not. I'm not going to say easily, but he can be.
Oh yeah,
a wide receiver 2.
No, he can easily because there's got to be right now. It's just Amon Ra and Sam Laporta.
So
in a high pass offense team. I mean, you also have the running backs, but if Jameson Williams shows up and let's just say Jameson Williams gets 100 targets and he catches 70 of them with his down the field,
yeah. Oh yeah.
he's going to be electric. He's definitely going to be a wide receiver 2 if he catches 70 balls.
And that's 2-3 times the amount of targets he's gotten in the last 2 years
Yeah.
he's been in the league. So I mean, I just think it's a smash all day
Yeah.
when you can get him, grab him, and just go.
Absolutely
It's
agree.
a smash. So
All right, well, who is your AFC smash?
I've been speaking it since the league ended last year, but George Pickens.
You have. I sniped him
You
from you. In the
stole
draft.
him from me in the draft. Yeah,
I got
took
your
him just a
smash
hair
and my
early.
smash.
Yeah, it took him just a hair earlier than I was. I mean, but it's one of those. That's another hiccup I ran into. But I just it's one of those where like this he's so electric. I mean, and
Boogie, woogie, woogie.
and I like the fact that Russell Wilson's there and probably more than likely going to be the starter, and it's gonna benefit him.
But even if
better
not-
than Pickett,
I mean,
Justin Fields.
yeah, he supported at least one receiver, and Pickens is the one that's being
Exactly. I mean,
supported,
he
so.
supported DK and Komet. Like, if you think about it,
Yeah.
like as far as like target wise and
Yeah.
everything, and keeping him going. So I mean, even if he's the starter, it still helps Pickett a lot. So I got Pickens. Excuse me. I got George Pickens. He's going off as wide receiver 28 and 57 overall, and I think it can easily be better than that,
Yeah.
especially with better quarterback play, all that good stuff. So.
Well, my AFC smash is Isaiah Pacheco, and he's already going off at running back 11, 21st overall. But and I need to preface this by saying earlier in the season, I said I just have a bad feeling about Pacheco. I don't really have any statistical reasoning behind it. I just had a gut feeling. Well, the gut feeling went away. I don't
Okay.
have that feeling anymore.
So there was like medicine involved, I guess.
Yeah,
And
I must have had a bad sandwich that day or whatever. I don't know.
just something
Yeah,
didn't sit right.
Didn't sit right. I took some Imodium, and now I feel better about Pacheco. I just don't see a lot of competition behind him. I know they brought in other people. A lot of them are undrafted or late round guys, and they're just not. They're doing okay, but none of them are like contending to take the work from this dude.
Yeah, exactly.
They love this guy. Excuse me. Go. Are you looking up Pacheco right now?
No, but I can.
All right, I want you to pull up his stats. I heard these stats today, and I want you to pull up his receiving statistics. And the first thing I want you to tell me is I want you to first of all, have you seen him yet?
I have not.
How many passes do you think he caught last year, just off the top of your mind?
40.
Okay. How many receiving touchdowns do you think he had?
4.
All right, now look up his receptions and his receiving touchdowns.
Okay, so let's see. Pacheco.
It's the PACH to the E.
All right, so he had 44 receptions.
So you're close.
And he had 2 receiving touchdowns.
Okay, so what was I?
He had 7 rushing touchdowns, but he only had 2 receiving touchdowns.
Okay, well then I misheard something, so never mind. Just throw all that trash. I could have swore I heard he had like 27 receptions and then 7 receiving touchdowns.
Oh wow, they must have mixed it up with the. I mean, he had 49 targets and 44 receptions, so that's good hands. I mean, and 2 receiving touchdowns.
Either that,
but he had 7 rushing touchdowns.
I'm remembering them talking about somebody else. And this, folks, is why we are just average.
Just average.
It all comes back around. But last year he was 16th in a full in a half PPR. He did not break 1,000 yards, and he only had 7 rushing touchdowns.
And he had 9 touchdowns overall, which is still good for a running back. You know, I mean, that's why he finished where he did.
Yeah. And so, I think his usage is going to go up, and I think that this offense is going to be better than it was last year. And
what was his draft position? His ADP?
11, 21st overall.
11? Okay.
Yeah. And I think he has a chance to be like a top 6, top 5 running back this year.
Yes. Especially with as many, it's, sad to say, but question marks potentially. You don't know what Rashid Rice is doing. Like, if he's going to have a suspension, there's going to be some gap to fill in there.
Hollywood Brown's going to be out multiple weeks.
Hollywood Brown's already injured.
Xavier Worthy's a rookie.
I've heard, and I haven't heard a lot of, like, super good about him. I've heard he's kind of playing that gadget guy. He's kind of filling in that, odds and ends role.
I mean, Rashid Rice has been balling out. So if he plays all season, he's going to be money.
He's going to be money. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I would like to make him a smash.
But I'm just saying, like, as far as like you're looking for, it's got to go somewhere because the Chiefs are good enough. It's going to be there. So where's it going to be?
Right.
And Pacheco's going to be the next.
And Travis
option,
Kelce's like 70 in football years.
Minimum. I ain't even done the math. I don't even want to do the math. I'm waiting on Taylor Swift's new song where she does the football math for us.
Hey, it's about to be. Reputation's about to get re-released. All right, just so you know, everybody out there, get ready. It's time. His Reputation is like I think what's today?
Low key plug right here, right?
Tomorrow, all the Swifties have crunched the numbers, and tomorrow is she's gonna announce Reputation's just gonna be released.
Just saying, low key plug. Like, not even a Swiftie over here, but I'm out here throwing it out for everybody. I know our target audience.
Anyway, but yeah,
Pacheco. I like
Pacheco.
It.
So that was my AFC in the NFC, and so I guess we're on the wild cards now.
Wild card, yeah.
Well, my wild card is Kink Cousins. I think he's going to be healthy. I think he's going to be great. He's right now QB 19, 131st overall. When he's on, when he's got receivers, when he's got an offense that's clicking, this dude has top 5 QB potential.
Yes.
And he can throw for 40 plus, 50 plus touchdowns. He can do it all. When it comes to the passing game, he's obviously a statue in the box, but in 6-point leagues, he's going to be extra money. But even in 4-point leagues, he is a value at 19, QB 19 if he plays the whole season. He has never finished that low since he went to Minnesota and got out of Washington, and I don't expect him to do that low in Atlanta with this offense, with those weapons. I think that we could be looking at one of the top 5 offenses in the NFC if everyone stays healthy. And so if that's the case, then you're going to be seeing Kink out there absolutely just surgically just dominating, throwing a Bijan, throwing a Drake London, throwing a Kyle Pitts, Darnell Mooney on the other side. When Darnell Mooney is like your worst receiver out of your top 4 or 5, then you got pretty good things going on.
According to a stat that I'm making up right now, Kirk Cousins has never had the offensive weapons collectively. Kink Cousins has never had the offensive weapons he has collectively
on all levels.
On all levels, on any team.
When Dalvin
played for,
Dalvin was at his peak, and he had Jefferson. That was pretty good, but I don't know they had
that
a
was
tight
the
end.
year before Hawkinson.
Yeah,
and then they got Hawkinson and lost Dalvin.
Right,
Dalvin started falling off.
Yeah,
so I mean,
you're right.
And even just going back through it all, like I'm just remembering. Of course, we know how that can be, but I just don't think that he's ever had this collective.
I mean, at every level of offense, he has a potentially top
5
who could be,
weapon. I mean,
could be a top 5 weapon.
Drake
at
London,
his position.
King.
Yes,
I mean, like
agreed.
Bijan could finish in the top 5. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, all these people could easily, and it just be.
And Atlanta
magic.
is craving for somebody to utilize these weapons. The owner is craving for somebody to utilize these weapons. This coach was brought in because of his offensive prowess. They broke rules to get Kirk Cousins because of his ability to throw the football. I just believe that they want to go out there and they want to show the world why they drafted these guys and what these guys are capable of. And I think Drake London is ready to show what he can do in the same respect that Garrett Wilson's ready to show what he can do with Aaron Rodgers. I think these guys are just chomping at the bit. And once given the opportunity, and then what they're able to do with Kyle Pitts and how they're going to move him around and do the things with him. I really think that Atlanta is poised to really set the world on fire offensively.
That's kind of a good wild card pick in Kirk Cousins because I've got his other Kyle Pitts.
Is
my smash, my wild card smash for the all of it. I mean, even he's going off at tight end 7, and I said when we talked about it last week. I honestly, I think 5 is like his floor with
Kyle
this
Pitts
offense.
Has top 2
That's what I'm saying. I just think 5 is his floor, and he could easily be the 1 or the 2 this next season.
His rookie season, the only thing he lacked was touchdowns. He had over 1,000 yards. He was included in the offense. They just couldn't get him in the red zone.
And we see what Kirk Cousins did with T.J. Hawkinson.
Yes.
You know, the usage alone was enough to get him in the top 5.
Right.
I'm sure if he had more, it's just.
Yeah.
I just think it's an easy smash. You don't have to think about it. You could draft Kyle Pitts. And you literally
he could potentially be the number 2 receiver on this team,
and you don't have to worry about any of it.
Right?
And it's a set and forget, and you're going to get the best of the best without having to really think about it.
Yeah, and you're getting him at a value.
Yeah,
and you're getting Kirk at a value. You could get that stack in best ball and be super happy about it.
Oh yes,
and you can get that stack in your home leagues and be pretty happy about it.
If I could have drafted Pitts, I would have waited around and got Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
But somebody grabbed Pitts before me, of course, in our home league. But
yeah, well, we are in Atlanta.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I had to take Bijan at 3.
You had to because he wasn't going to be there at 4. I don't even know who drafted 4, but he wasn't going to be there at 4.
I believe it was your wife that was drafted.
She probably would have drafted him. So that is my smash, my overall wild card smash for this year going into the season.
All right, well, give us your sleeper.
My sleeper is Blake Corum.
Blake Corum, all right.
It is. I mean, especially where you're getting him. He's going off at running back 41, which actually dropped 3 running back spaces from last time when we talked about it. But so he's slowly getting slept on a little more and more.
Right.
And I mean, and this is, Do
you think it's because you project this because you think Kyron's going to miss time, or do you just think they're going to utilize them both enough that he's going to have value?
I think he's going to have value. I think he could finish 32 overall. And if you draft him 41, 116, this is a running back you can pick up and put in your flex play, and he's going to get you 7 points, 6 points, and he's going to have big weeks. He's going to have a 24-point week.
Well, he's going to score touchdowns, so you'll have a week where he gets a touchdown or 2.
Exactly. And
Kyron's going to get hurt.
You still have that. that like safety blanket of knowing that if the running back ahead of him, if Kyron goes down, it's the Corum show.
I mean, Kyron's already been hurt in the preseason, and he deals with foot in lower leg issues.
Little issues, and he's kind of like Debo too. Like he'll play 65-70% of the game, and then the back half or somewhere in the middle, he'll miss spots, and other people have to fill in that. And all it takes is one touchdown. He gets 2 shots and handoffs, and he gets a touchdown out of it. All of a sudden, he's worth playing all season.
And we know that McVay is not afraid to just run the next guy out there.
Exactly, or run a running back just consistently.
That's what I'm saying. Did just like once this guy starts slowing down or gets hurt too much, next up.
Yep, bring the next one out and let's see what happens. I mean, so I just think that there's and that offense it thrives on a running back. Like they need that running back spot.
It drives that offense.
So and this is a guy who scored a bajillion touchdowns, in college, and I mean he looks pretty good out here in preseason and stuff. So I mean, I just think for the value,
Blake Corum is a good running back, and he will be a good running back in this league, whether it's this year or next year,
whatever. Yeah, but
at some point, Kyron's going to get pushed out. The lifespan of a running back is whatever, and Kyron was a late round guy. He does deal with injuries. So I'm just hoping for one more good year out of Kyron, but I don't expect, even though I took him in the second round of our home league, I don't expect the scores that we've got here last year when he was competing with McCaffrey when he was healthy type of shit. So
I think he can easily, even if Kyron can still finish top and still give enough work to Blake Corum for him to finish up. And like I said, even if he finishes as a running back 30, when you're drafting him at 41, I mean, that's value.
Well, I think McVay doesn't want to run it back in the ground the way that he's had to.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really his style. I just think that they haven't really had somebody that they can lean on. They tried it with Cam Akers, and then they were going to get rid of him, and then and then he was the starter, and then he did good, and then, then he blew his Achilles and, stuff like that. But I think that, ultimately, I think McVay wants to do a 60-40 split or, whatever. And I think that you're right at where you're getting him. If he gets 40%, if you can get him 12 to 15 touches a game, you're going to feel pretty good about that.
Oh yeah,
especially
definitely.
if you can get a couple inside the 5 zone and stuff like that. So my sleeper is a wide receiver who I think could actually end up being the number 1 for his team, and that is Dontavian Wicks. He is currently going off the board at 62, 156 overall. I'm trying to get him in all my drafts because he doesn't really cost me anything. And if you watch him play, he has everything it takes to be a starting outside wide receiver for a team. And they're looking for somebody to take that role. And I don't know if he can beat out Jaden Reed. I don't know if Christian Watson's going to take that job. But here's what I do know. I know that I can get him at 62, wide receiver 62 or 156 overall, and I know that he has a more than zero chance. He has actually a pretty decent chance. I would say a 35 to 40% chance of being highly viable in that offense, even if he's not the 1, if he's the 2. I don't know that Jaden is it Jaden or Jalen Reed? Jaden Reed. I don't know that Jaden Reed is a prototypical outside receiver. I think he is a slot guy, a gimmick guy, a run the ball guy. And so if Wicks becomes the X and Watson is the Y, and then you're running Jaden Reed in your slot, I mean, then he's going to be out there. Or if Dobbs is the Y, I think Romeo Dobbs is probably most likely going to be the other outside receiver. And so maybe Watson ends up being the 4th option on this team because he hasn't shown to be consistently good or healthy. So, but again, my biggest thing is with Wicks is I bet he don't finish at 62. And so, And if he finishes as a wide receiver 4, you've got value. And in a redraft, you just need a week or 2 of him doing good, and you move him for something else that you need on your team. And you move on. If the early in the season you say, well, he's not really running with the ones, he's just out there when somebody's hurt or he's had a couple good moments. Let me see if I can go move him for something else, or even do that in Dynasty. But I think he holds a ton of value, and I personally think that Dontavian Wicks may be a diamond in the rough type player who next year we're looking at him being drafted within the top 20 of redraft leagues. So
yeah, hey, stand by that. I see it. I mean, definitely. I'm looking at their all the other wide receivers production last year.
Last year's production.
Looking over at their production and everything, and I didn't realize that Romeo Dobbs had 8 touchdowns last year. I mean, he
Dobbs is a 50-50 guy.
37 overall, like a wide receiver 37, but I didn't realize he had that many touchdowns. His yardage wasn't that great. He only had 600 yards, but I just they spread that ball out so much. I mean, thinking back over it, between Musgrave and Kraft even had a couple games.
They dealt with a ton of injuries too.
Yeah, all that back and forth. But I mean, I'd take a shot on Dontavian Wicks that late in the draft before I'd waste an earlier pick on Watson.
Because we know one thing we know is if Jordan Love's healthy, that's going to be a good offense.
Yep.
So if it's a good offense, you're wanting pieces of it. And if you don't draft, I would rather have Jaden Reed. Don't get me wrong. I would if I had to pick between the two, I would rather go get Reed instead of Wicks. But if you're looking at cost and you're talking about where can I get, Reed, or where can I get Wicks, and you're doing your draft, where you're looking there and you're saying that, Reed's going to be going at wide receiver 36. So you're drafting him as already a top 3 wide receiver, 78 overall. He's going half a draft before you can get Wicks. And so you got to start looking at other players in that same area. You got Xavier Worthy, Rome Odunze, Jordan Addison. I would take Jordan Addison over Reed. And your guy Keon Coleman's right there. And if you go right above Reed, you got Rashee Rice, who I would take if I'm in that same place. Rashee Rice is at 35.
Yeah.
And so, my thing is that if I'm wanting piece of this offense, I want to take shots. If I don't get this guy, I'm definitely trying to get, later in the draft, I'm trying to grab Wicks.
Oh, yeah. So, no, I get that entirely. It's definitely a good call.
Well, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, if anything we say or do helps you finish at that average place in your leagues, and we did our job, because if you finish average,
you don't finish last.
That's right. And so we hope you guys have a good few days out there. Our plan is to be back here on Wednesday. Our buddy Larry, who we call Bus, is going to be in studio, and we're going to be talking about some trends and things of that nature and whatever else we can muster up.
Shit, I guess I better start actually researching.
Yeah.
Then we got other people coming in. I don't want to sound like an idiot in front of people. I don't mind being on the radio sounding like an idiot, but man.
Well, you don't. I can't post edit it out if he's sitting here.
Yeah, exactly. We can't re-record, hit the rewind.
The comedy podcast, I have had to edit some things.
We've had to scrap it entirely and had to fully start over. We've gone 30 minutes in and been like, okay, yeah, we can't do this anymore.
But on this is a one shot.
Yeah.
You get what you get. Once it starts, we just keep rolling unless we have a catastrophic beginning, then we'll start over.
We mind our P's and Q's a lot better here. So yeah, it's
but yeah, so we'll hopefully we'll get him in here on Wednesday, and then we'll see what that show entails. And we do have the just average draft we're going to be knocking out in the next week or so, and the Smish draft. And we're getting some Terry in here and getting Andrew in here to do those drafts and get them done. And whatnot as we get closer and closer to opening days.
Yeah, kickoff.
Yes. So, but y'all be good out there, and we'll talk to you next time we talk to you.
Later.